The scanner's red beam flickered across her ID badge, drawing a laugh from the guard before it cut to green and flashed. Classified access. Every head in the dimly lit entry bay snapped to her. Maya Blake's pulse hit a steady rhythm. This was the moment she'd been preparing for, though no one here believed she belonged. A soft beep echoed as she stepped forward, the click of her boots sharp against the concrete. She caught the faintest reflection of her father's old sniper patch, hidden inside her jacket pocket, and felt a warmth of memory-steady hands teaching her to breathe through the shot, to trust the wind. The guard's smirk faded as the door sealed shut behind her. Inside the training compound, half-packed crates and emergency gear lined the walls. Rumor said this place would test even seasoned operators. She knew they'd watch her every move, right down to how she cleaned her kit, calibrated the drones, or handled the medbag tucked by her cot. But none of that would matter when the crisis hit. Drapa, if you've ever been underestimated before. We jump back in. Tell us where you're from. If this story moves you, please subscribe. Tomorrow, I have a special story for you. The heavy blast door hissed open again before Maya had taken 3 steps. 2 men in tactical vests, older, broad-shouldered, radiating the stale confidence of tenure, stepped in. Their eyes swept over her, pausing on the badge at her chest, then flicking to the sniper patch just barely visible when her jacket shifted. Blake, right? The taller one's voice was rough with cynicism. Didn't think the new specialist would actually show. You'll bunk down with the trainees until you prove you're worth a real bed. Maya didn't flinch. She offered a calm nod, stepping aside as they brushed past. She watched them the way her father had taught her, taken every angle, note, every tell. She caught the glint of mismatched gear, the scrape on one's elbow pad, the half-clipped mag on the other's belt. Details others missed. She found her corner berth next to a stack of crates marked medical. She slipped off her pack, unzipped the side pouch, and checked the contents. A simple field kit, an old rifle bolt wrapped in cloth, a photo of her mother patching up an injured ranger in the back of a dusty Humvee. Legacy mattered more than their smirks ever could. Over the next hours, Maya moved with quiet precision, stowing her gear, wiping down her sidearm, recalibrating a battered drone someone had discarded. She caught a few curious glances, but no one spoke. They'd rather whisper than ask. Just after midnight, the alarm klaxon jolted her awake. She shot upright, boots hitting the floor. A young recruit stumbled past her cot, eyes wide. They want you at command, now. Maya slung her jacket over her shoulders, thumb brushing the sniper patch again. She knew before stepping into that cold corridor that this was the moment. The moment they'd stop laughing. Drop it if you know the feeling of having to prove yourself twice as hard. Drop it if you're ready for what's next. The corridor reeked of metal polish and stale coffee. Maya's footsteps echoed, crisp and certain, as she navigated the maze toward command. She felt eyes on her through glass panels, whispers pressed to headset mics. Let them talk. The door slid open with a reluctant whine. Inside, a bank of monitors glowed with a grid of blinking red markers, each one a threat inching closer. A grizzled officer with a Combs earpiece pointed to her without looking up. Blake, we've got an incursion. Drill turned live op. You're on perimeter overwatch. A junior tech snorted from behind a bank of screens. Her? Didn't we pull her file? She's just here on a legacy placement. Maya took the tablet from the officer's outstretched hand. She traced the coordinates, noting wind speed, line of sight, terrain dips. Her mind settled into the calm space her father called 0 hour. Do you need a spotter? The officer asked. Maya's eyes flicked up. No. Minutes later, she was back in the gear room, pulling her rifle case from the shadows. She unfolded the stock, locked in the bolt, the same one from her father's patch days. Each click was a promise. She loaded 2 extra mags, checked her rangefinder, and slipped a single med patch into her breast pocket. Her mother's touch. Outside, the compound's floodlights sliced through the mist. She moved with practiced fluidity, scaling the watchtower and nestling in behind a battered sandbag. Her breath misted, controlled. She adjusted the scope, sighted the first target, and waited below. The squad's chatter crackled through her. Earpiece. Doubts. Mocking bets. She tuned them out. Then the first hostile shimmered out of the dark. One shot clean. Another figure moved behind it. Two more. She exhaled, counted heartbeats. The radio erupted. Who the hell's picking them? Off like that? Maya let the wind carry her reply. Stay in your lane. The last target fell just as the storm hit. Lightning flashed on the compound's wet tarmac. The same tech who'd mocked her voice cracked through the feed. Command wants you back. Now, drop a if you've ever worked twice as hard for half the recognition. Drop a if you'd have their backs anyway. Maya peeled off her gloves as she stepped back into command. Rainwater dripped from her hair, soaking the collar of her jacket. The room fell silent when they saw her. Even the junior tech avoided her eyes now. The grizzled officer motioned her. Closer. On the screens, a new threat pulsed a convoy rerouting around the main checkpoint. Moving too fast to be friendly. You're redeploying, he said. That Overwatch bought us time, but now they're probing our soft spots. We've got a breach along the east fence. A younger sergeant, arms crossed, leaned in. I still say we don't need a lone sniper. Let her stick to drone work, Maya's. Stare cut through him. You need eyes and a clean shot. I'm your only option right now. No one argued. She jogged down the access hall, ducking through maintenance hatches until she reached the east fence. The wind carried the scent of diesel and churned dirt. Maya dropped flat behind a stack of discarded crates. She lined up her scope along the fence's shadow line. She caught a glint helmet, low profile, moving smart. Not trainees. Not a drill. Her pulse slowed. One round chambered, finger resting just outside the trigger guard. Memories flickered. Her father steadying her first rifle, her mother's hands tying off a field dressing. She exhaled and fired. The figure crumpled soundlessly. A second emerged, bracing a bolt cutter. Maya's breath fogged the glass. 2 shots, fast and surgical. She shifted position, crawling to higher ground as a third silhouette darted forward. Through her gums, she heard panicked chatter. We see the breach hostiles down, but there's more inbound. How the hell did they get past perimeter sensors? Old tunnel access, Maya murmured, half to herself. She pinged her location, sending new coordinates. Lock them out now, or this turns into a siege. Lightning again. Rain pounded her scope, forcing her to adjust the magnification. She sighted one more shadow, this one moving differently too. Smooth, too deliberate. Something about the posture made her stomach twist. She tracked the target, waiting for a clean shot. The shape turned, revealing a patch she recognized. One of theirs gagged, hands bound, being pushed ahead. Hostage. Before she could react, her gums crackled. Blake Command needs you back. Inside, now. She looked at the hostage, at the figure behind him, at the fence. Her thumb brushed the safety. Choices had consequences. Drop a if you've ever faced an impossible choice. Drop a if you know you'd take the shot anyway. Maya stayed prone in the soaked grass, eyes locked on the hostage situation. The radio squawked again. Blake, Command now. She muted her mic. One wrong call and an innocent died. One delay and the entire east fence crumbled. She repositioned, angling for a better shot at the hostile's exposed flank. Her father's voice echoed in her memory. A sniper's first job is to know when not to pull the trigger. She exhaled through clenched teeth. The hostage stumbled, slipping in the mud. The captor jerked him upright, scanning the fence line. Maya's crosshairs drifted just above the man's ear. Wind 5 knots, left to right. Rain's masking muzzle flash. She squeezed one round, the pop swallowed by the storm. The captor dropped like dead weight. The hostage staggered free, arms flailing for balance. Maya clicked her mic back on. Hostage clear. Get a team to extract him before he freezes to death. She rolled off the crates and crawled low through the slick brush, moving toward the secondary gate. Her boots sank in mud, water soaking through the knees of her fatigues. She welcomed the cold. It sharpened her senses. By the time she slipped back into command, the room had shifted. Some faces turned away, embarrassed. Others watched her like they'd never really seen her before. The grizzled officer handed her a towel. Nice work, but they're regrouping. We need eyes on the ridge. Maya wrung water from her hair. I'll go. No, this is bigger. They're not probing anymore. They're testing our entire grid. She scanned the main display. Dozens of red markers now. Too many for snipers alone. We need drones in the air, barriers reinforced, and evac routes cleared, Maya said. And someone to coordinate the feeds. The junior tech opened his mouth, then shut it when Maya leveled. A look at him. The officer tapped the map. That someone is you. You've got the background, the training, and frankly this crew listens to you now. Prove your worth, Blake. Maya braced her palms on the table, leaning in. Then give me full grid control. And the override codes. I'm not repeating orders through middlemen. Silence. The officer nodded once. You've got it. Don't screw this up. As she pulled on her headset, Maya caught her reflection in the dark monitor glass. Rain-drenched hair, mud on her cheek, eyes clear and unblinking. They'd laughed when security scanned her ID. Now they couldn't look away. Drop A if you've ever stepped up when no one believed in you. Drop A if you'd do it again. Maya's fingers flew across the console. She linked drone feeds to the main grid, weaving a real-time tapestry of the compound and every inch beyond its fences. Dots flickered, moved, vanished. Each one could mean lives lost or saved. Behind her, the junior tech hovered, hesitant. Do you want help with the grid protocols? Maya didn't look up. Just calibrate the thermal overlays. And reroute that backdoor you left open on Channel 7. He flushed, nodding. No snarky retort this time. She tuned her earpiece. To the perimeter squads. Charlie Delta report. Delta's pinned near the fuel depot, came a voice crackling with static. Multiple contacts, no visuals, just shadows in the rain. Maya's mind mapped it instantly. Hold your position. I'm dispatching drones to your 6 o'clock. Pop flares when you see them. She keyed the drones, humming low under her. Breath to steady her heartbeat. She'd done this before, small scale, in rougher terrain with worse odds. Her father's old lessons drifted back. Always stay 3 moves ahead. Minutes later, the thermal cam flashed with shapes 2 hostiles, closing in behind Delta's squad. Maya patched a direct feed to the squad leader's HUD. Targets marked. Green means drop, yellow means capture if possible. Gunfire punctuated the feed. 1 hostile fell. The second bolted for cover, but ran straight into Charlie Squad's arc. Clean. Maya's screen pulsed again. She spotted movement along the southern ridge, a crawl of heat signatures too scattered to be wildlife. East team, she said, voice calm. Redirect a pair of drones to the ridge. And prep the south fence for breach protocol. The grizzled officer stepped up beside her. You running this entire op solo? She didn't glance away. Only until you find me someone better. A faint chuckle. You remind me of your father. Stubborn bastard. But he got results. She allowed herself half a smile. I get that from my mother. For an hour, the command post hummed with tension. Each update confirmed what Maya already suspected. This wasn't a random incursion. Someone out there knew their blind spots, their weaknesses, and someone on the inside might be helping them. She leaned closer to the thermal feed, eyes narrowing. A shape moved, paused, then signaled with a handheld strobe. Too organized, too calm. She tapped the junior tech's shoulder. Get me a freeze frame on that. Magnify the signal. The image sharpened, her gut twisted. She knew that code: military, not civilian. Get me a line to Command Central, she said. We've got a bigger problem than just an infiltration. Drop a if you've ever trusted your instincts when everyone else doubted you. Drop a if you'd stand your ground no matter what. Static filled Maya's headset as the line to Command Central crackled open. She forced her voice steady. This is Blake at Compound Ridge. I'm requesting immediate lockdown authority. We've got a code signal military pattern, strobe. Relay, possible insider, the line hissed. A woman's clipped accent answered. Verify your clearance. Maya clenched her jaw. Scan my ID again. It'll say classified access. A beat of silence. Then, lockdown protocol granted. Maintain live feed. We're dispatching the counter-intel unit to your position. She flicked off her mic, eyes sweeping the command center. Some of the operators flinched under her gaze. Others leaned in, drawn to her calm under pressure. Someone in this compound is feeding them roots and gaps, Maya said. I want eyes on every back channel, every corridor, even the maintenance hatches. The junior tech hovered near her shoulder. You think it's one of ours? I know it is. She snapped orders to the drone teams. Tiny quadcopters buzzed. Through rain and fog, weaving under fences and across ridges. Every flicker on her monitor sharpened the bigger picture. Whoever was out there moved like they'd drilled for this, too precise for MERCS. Half an hour in, her gut twisted again. One drone feed glitched once, twice, then went dead. Not shot down. Cut off. Maya tapped the console. Pull up Drone 3's last coordinates. A map bled across the main screen. An outbuilding, marked for supply overflow. Long abandoned. No heat signature should have been there. She drew her sidearm from her thigh holster. I'm checking it out. The officer frowned. Take backup. She gave a tight shake of her head. Too obvious. If it's one of ours, they'll bolt. At the first sign of a squad, wind and rain greeted her as she slipped out the side hatch. She moved low, using crates and parked trucks for cover. The outbuilding squatted like a forgotten relic, half swallowed by creeping ivy. She paused at the door, listening. A faint scrape inside a boot on concrete. Then a voice, low and urgent. Next supply drop, we clear the rest of the grid. No mistakes this time. Maya's heart hammered. She recognized that voice. She eased her sidearm up, finger poised, breath tight in her chest. Through a crack in the door, she saw him, the same sneering sergeant who'd tried to bench her on. Day one, radio in hand, hunched over a crate packed with signal jammers. Her mind raced. Take him alive? Or end it now? A twig snapped under her boot. His head snapped up. Eyes met through the gap shock, then rage. She had half a second to react. Drop. A if you've ever caught betrayal where you least expected it. Drop A if you'd face it head on, no matter the risk. Maya burst through the door, her sidearm aimed square at his chest. The sergeant's eyes darted from her weapon to the crates of gear behind him. He dropped the radio, hand inching toward his belt. Don't, she warned, voice low but cutting. Through the thrum of rain on the metal roof, he froze, lips curling into a sneer. You think you'll make it out? You're one person. They're already inside the fence. Maya stepped closer, keeping her weight balanced. Who's they? Mercenaries? Another unit? His eyes flicked past her shoulder. Instinct screamed. She pivoted, dropping low as a flash of steel sliced the air where her neck had been. Another figure masked, moving fast, lunged again. Maya blocked with her forearm, the impact rattling her bones. She fired. One shot caught the masked man's thigh. He buckled but didn't go down. The sergeant lunged for the crate. Maya kicked it shut, her boot jamming his wrist between lid and metal lip. He howled, the knife clattering to the floor. She spun, planting her shoulder into the masked man's chest, driving him back into rusted shelves. A scuffle, grunts, the smell of oil and rain. She locked her arm around his throat, twisting until he went limp. She let him drop and swung back to the sergeant, only to find him scrambling for the fallen blade. Maya's heel connected with his temple. He crumpled, dazed, blood streaming. From a cut above his brow, breath ragged, she pinned him with her boot. "Tell me who's paying you." He spat blood. "You won't make it in time. They're not just here for your fence. They want the vault, the grid codes." Maya's heart pounded, of course. The classified servers. If they breached those, they'd have access to every deployment plan, every field op. She bound the sergeant's wrists with cable ties ripped from the crate. "Stay down. If you move, I'll let the next squad decide what to do with you." Her COMMs crackled. "Blake, status?" She grabbed the radio from the crate, voice steady. "We've got a traitor in custody. One hostile down, but there's more. They're after the vault." Static. Then the officer's voice. "Understood. Fall back to command. We'll lock the vault down." She stepped into the storm again, rain washing sweat and blood from her skin. Each step back to the compound felt heavier. This wasn't just about proving herself anymore. If she failed now, everyone she'd fought for, her father's legacy, her mother's sacrifice, would be for nothing. She holstered her weapon, eyes scanning the shadows between floodlights. Betrayal inside the fence was one thing. What waited beyond could end everything. Drop us if you've ever had to fight for what others took for granted. Drop us if you'd do it alone if you had to. Maya crossed the compound yard under driving rain, the traitor's words echoing in her head. "They're after the vault." She slipped through the main gates, her boots splashing in growing puddles. The command center loomed ahead, its floodlights stark against the black sky. Inside, the air smelled of wet gear, coffee gone cold, and raw tension. "Status?" she demanded the moment she stepped in. The grizzled officer didn't flinch. "We've sealed the vault doors, but that'll hold them maybe 20 minutes once they hit it. Sensors show multiple groups moving toward the south wing." Maya scanned the main grid. Heat signatures clustered like fire ants at every access point. She noted the supply tunnels, old, narrow, half-collapsed. "Perfect for infiltration. Pull up blueprints," she said. "I need a route they won't expect." The junior tech pulled it onto the big screen, eyes wide. "You're going after them alone?" "No," Maya said, checking her sidearm. "I'm going after their point man. Cut the head off the snake." The officer stepped in. "You'll need backup." "I don't have time to drag a rookie through those tunnels. Keep the perimeter teams focused on stopping anyone else from getting in." She flicked through thermal feeds. There one figure at the tail end of a squad, moving with that same unnerving calm. She knew that stride. This was a leader, not a grunt. She grabbed her father's bolt from her pocket, a tiny weight grounding her. 0 hour. Minutes later, she dropped into the supply tunnel hatch, boots scraping old brick and grime. The air tasted like rust and mold. She moved in near silence, letting the rain above mask any sounds. Ahead, a faint glow of a flashlight beam danced against a curve in the passage. Voices muffled, urgent. Maya flattened against the wall, hearing snippets. Vault doors old. Tech, plasma torch should cut it. And the override codes? Coming through any minute. Maya's pulse steadied. She unclipped a smoke grenade from her belt, pulled the pin. Counted 1, 2, 3, then rolled it down the tunnel. Shouts erupted. Shadows swirled. She slipped in behind the confusion, close enough to see the point man's silhouette framed by the haze. She raised her sidearm, hesitated. Too many bodies. She ducked low, sweeping a metal pipe from the ground. One strike, two. She dropped one hostile with a blow to the temple, pivoted to block a wild swing from another. Her arm ached from the impact. The point man turned mask. On ice cold, knife ready. He lunged. She dodged, feeling the blade graze her ribs. Pain flared. She slammed the pipe across his wrist. The knife clattered to stone. They grappled, boots slipping in pooled water. His mask slipped in the struggle, revealing a face she knew. The last person she expected. Drop us, you've ever been blindsided by the truth. Drop if you'd stand and fight anyway. The tunnel seemed to shrink around them as Maya stared into the face of the point man. No mask now. Just sweat-slick skin and a grim sneer that twisted something old in her gut. It was the same training partner who'd dismissed her in sniper school. Carter. Back then, he'd bragged about classified ops and the connections he'd earned. Now he looked feral, cornered but confident. Blake, he rasped, pushing against her forearm, pinning him to the tunnel wall. Didn't think you'd come down here alone. Brave or stupid? Maya pressed harder, ignoring the searing pain where his blade had grazed her ribs. Why the vault, Carter? Who are you selling us out to? He laughed ragged, mocking. You think you're the hero in this story? It's all cash, sweetheart. Everyone's got a price. Yours was just hidden behind your daddy's uniform. Maya's fist connected with his jaw. Bone popped under her knuckles. She felt her mother's voice steadying her heartbeat. Finish what you start. Carter surged forward, throwing her off balance. They tumbled into a side shaft, landing hard on the damp stone. Maya's shoulder slammed into a rusted pipe, stars blinking across her vision. He was on her in seconds, hands at her throat. She clawed at his wrists, boots scraping for leverage. Air thinned. Her pulse thundered in her ears. She jammed her knee into his ribs once, twice, until he buckled. She rolled, planting her elbow into his throat this time. He gasped, a gurgle of defiance. One boot slammed into her shin, but she didn't let go. Codes, she spat, voice hoarse. Who else knows? He coughed a laugh, too late. By the time you get out of this tunnel, they'll be inside the vault, and you'll be dead. Maya's hand found the jagged edge of a broken bracket jutting from the wall. She forced it against his temple, steel-biting skin. Last chance. Carter's eyes flicked past her, hope flaring. She heard it too, boots pounding deeper in the tunnel. Reinforcements, she had seconds. She slammed his head, back once hard enough to knock him cold, but not kill him. She dragged him behind an old generator casing, wrists zip-tied tight, footsteps, voices close. Maya flattened herself against the wall, weapon ready. 3 shapes rounded the bend, heavily armed, but moving sloppy. They hadn't expected resistance down here. She dropped the first with 2 clean shots. The second fired wildly. Concrete chips stung her cheek as bullets sparked off the walls. She ducked, swung wide, and tackled him at the knees. The third hesitated long enough for Maya to fire point blank. The tunnel fell silent but for the drip of water and her ragged breaths. She keyed her radio. Command, Carter's down, reinforcements neutralized. But there's more coming. Reroute security to the vault entrance now. I'm on my way. She pressed a hand to her bleeding side, hissed at the sting, then pushed off the wall. 1 foot in front of the other. She would not let them win. Drop a, if you've ever bled for something worth saving. Drop a, if you do it all over again. Maya staggered out of the supply tunnel, boots slipping on wet concrete. The compound yard was chaos, alarms blaring, perimeter lights flaring in the rain. Squads moved like frantic shadows, sealing off gates and dragnetting corridors. She pressed. 1 hand to her side. Blood seeped through her fingers, but the pain kept her focused. She keyed her radio. Command, status on the vault breach? A voice crackled back, tense. South corridor compromised. We've sealed the outer doors, but they've got plasma torches. 8A on breach, under 15. Maya pushed through the scramble of bodies in the main hall, ignoring the stairs. She grabbed the junior tech by the shoulder. Reroute all internal. Cams to my HUD. I want eyes on the breach team, the corridor, and the backup grid. His fingers flew across the keyboard. You're going back in there? You're bleeding. Lock the medbay doors. Save the lecture for when I'm dead. A faint smirk cracked the tension, but his eyes were wide with worry. Copy that. Blake. She slammed a fresh mag into her sidearm and checked the battered bolt action in her kit. Her father's old legacy piece, one she'd never fired in a real op. The storm raged overhead, thunder rolling like a distant drumbeat. She pushed through a maintenance corridor, each step echoing in the tight, dim passage. Her earpiece pulsed with reports positions shifting, more red dots on the grid. The breach team wasn't just another crew of hired guns. They moved with a trained rhythm, covering corners, laying charges. She found her perch in a service crawl above the vault corridor, a narrow pipe crawl space just wide enough for a prone shot. She lay flat, bracing the old rifle on a wrapped pipe. Through the slats below, the breach crew assembled. 4 men, each armored, faces hidden behind tactical masks. She slowed her breathing. Her mother's old mantra running under the thunder. One breath, one chance. A breach torch flared. Sparks danced on the vault door's thick steel. 1 torch, 2, then a 3rd man planting a shaped charge at the frame. Maya exhaled, sighting down the battered scope. First shot torch operator. Trigger squeezed, the crack drowned by thunder. He dropped, sparking torch spinning across the floor. The others scrambled, shouting orders she could barely hear. They knew they were exposed now. She chambered the next. Round, click, the old bolt slid smooth as silk. Second shot man at the charge, another crack. Another body dropped. 1 hostile swung up, spraying wildfire into the crawlspace ceiling. Sparks, debris, splinters of concrete. Maya shifted left, stomach scraping metal, ignoring the bite of her wound. She braced again, 3rd round ready. 1 breath, 1 chance. Drop a, if you'd hold the line even when you're bleeding. Drop a, if you'd fight for something bigger than yourself. The vault corridor crackled with gunfire and the hiss of the plasma torch sputtering on the floor. Maya steadied her breath, sweat and rainwater dripping off her brow onto the cold metal pipe under her elbows. Below, the 2 remaining hostiles regrouped, dragging the wounded torchman back. 1 barked orders and clipped code military, not mercenary. Whoever had planned this breach knew the compound's weaknesses better than its own defenders. Maya's wound throbbed, warm blood trickling past the patch she'd hastily slapped on. She ignored it, shifting her aim dot. She caught the glint of a detonator clutched tight in 1 gloved hand. Her finger hovered over the trigger. 1 breath, she fired. The round slammed into the detonator, sparks and force ripping it from the hostiles. Grip. He screamed as the charge half detonated, a muffled boom echoing down the vault corridor. The vault door held, but the enemy staggered, disoriented. Maya chambered the next round, heart hammering. The last man bolted, vaulting over a stack of crates to disappear into the shadows. Command, she whispered into her mic, throat raw. The breach team's broken. 1 on the run, the doors intact. Status on evac? Static, then the grizzled officer's voice. Evac convoys. En route. Perimeter squads are mopping up stragglers. You bought us the time we needed. She allowed herself 1 shaky exhale. She slid out of the crawl space, boots hitting the corridor floor with a splash. Her shoulder burned from where she'd banged it against the pipe. Her ribs felt like they'd been kicked by a mule. Down the corridor, she caught a flicker of movement. The last hostile bleeding, limping, but not gone. He slipped through a maintenance hatch, deeper into the compound service tunnels. Maya keyed her mic again. I'm going after him. Negative, the officer barked. Fall back. Medics are inbound. She clicked her mic off. Some fights didn't wait for permission. She pushed through the hatch into pitch blackness, sidearm drawn, eyes adjusting to the drip and echo of the tunnels. Memories snapped into place. Her father's voice teaching her how to stalk, how to listen for the shift in breath, the scrape of boots. A shadow flitted around a bend. She moved silent as a ghost, each footstep measured. Her side brushed wet concrete, her bandage tore again, blood oozing through. She clenched her jaw, forced it aside. A faint light ahead, another strobe. A signal meant for an exfil team that would never come. The hostile turned, weapon raised. Maya didn't hesitate. One shot. Clean. He dropped. The silence that followed felt heavier than the rain above. Maya leaned against the tunnel wall, chest heaving, eyes squeezed shut. She had given everything tonight. Above her, alarms fell quiet. The vault stayed sealed. The compound held. Drop it if you've ever had to be your own backup. Drop it if you'd stand alone when no one else could.